Who picked the posters for those?
So Mike did, and it's the
Okay.
first 30 movie clubs that ever happened.
Oh, okay. All right.
So there was a logic to it. He wasn't going at random.
I was like, Mr. Magoo? Why?
Yeah,
And then
it's
one of them,
because we did Mr. Magoo on Laughing Place Movie Club, because, you know.
one of them was the one and only Ivan, but it took me about 2 more slides to realize that. I was like, Mighty Joe Young, why is that in here?
That has a great score.
But hi, everybody. Welcome to Laughing Place Movie Club. Tonight, you're going to hear Alex and I talking about Gnomeo and Juliet. I know I kind of briefly mentioned it on Parks Talk Live a couple hours ago as from a Fox Animation Studio. I was way wrong. It's a Touchstone Pictures release of a Rocket Pictures production from Starz Animation.
This was in-house, like in co-production with Elton John, not acquired after the fact, but a bumpy road to the screen nonetheless.
Can you talk a little bit more about that part?
Well, I remember hearing about this film being in development for probably about 5 years before it actually came out. Like it had a long gestation period. The contracts had been signed, with Rocket Pictures and Disney. And at one point, I want to say this was supposed to be Disney branded. Okay. I think they ended up changing their minds. And at one point, if I'm not mistaken, Disney tried to back out and was going to face, more legal trouble than it was going to be worth. But so Elton John and Disney's relationship, I think, officially started in the 80s with Totally Minnie, when he did You Don't Go Breaking My Heart with Minnie Mouse.
Yep. I wish I thought of that. I would have had a clip ready.
Oh, I love that. That is like peak Elton John for me. So then obviously he does Lion King.
Yep.
Because ABBA wasn't available. And then that story, right?
Yes, and I don't like to think about that story either. How drastically different that movie would have been.
Yeah, so he does Lion King because ABBA wasn't available, and obviously
I get a lot of stuff for being angry at things for what they could have been. A lot of people give me a hard time about that, but that's one where I'm like, no, we're good. Keep going.
Yeah.
Okay. Anyway,
but he wins the Oscar, the Grammy, everything, and then he hadn't really worked with Disney in a while, and Elton John obviously has this. He's known for being a diva. I mean, he has a song called "The Bitch Is Back" for a reason, and he's referring to himself. So I think he knows that, and he portrays it that way. But Disney went into this because he had this idea for an updated version of Romeo and Juliet, kid friendly, based on his music, his library of songs. And around the time that Gnomeo and Juliet was put into production, Disney was venturing into some other animation areas anyway. They had done The Wild, Valiant.
Valiant was a number of years ahead of that, but yes.
Yeah, there was, kind of this string of like non-Disney, non-Pixar animated films coming out of Disney. Non-Disney feature animation is what I mean. So this kind of fell into that category. Ultimately, in the end, they released it. It did well, considering it didn't cost all that much to make. Like you mentioned, Starz Animation overseas did the animation. That's why we never see the humans' faces, because I imagine they just, didn't have the budget.
There were times when I was just like, ooh.
It's not a great film in terms of animation quality. But with Elton John, what you get is an all-star cast. You get some pretty funny jokes. With Disney's involvement, you get some synergistic moments. And so ultimately, it produced something that I would say is just okay. I remember seeing it in theaters and not hating it, and then being kind of excited when we talked about Laughing Place Movie Club. There's Elton John's cameo in the film as a gnome, in addition to singing the narrative. But I mean, it made 100 million domestically, and I believe it did well overseas as well, which is why it spawned a sequel that Disney, did not want to work on with Elton John. So they had no part in Sherlock Gnomes, which, if you didn't know, is a follow-up to Gnomeo and Juliet. And I think
all the gnomes go missing. Spoiler alert.
Whoa.
Oh,
I think I haven't seen it, so thanks for spoiling it. I think
that's in the
this might
trailer.
be. I think this might be the reason Disney didn't push Elton John's new song for the live action looking Lion King um, to go for award nominations. They instead chose Beyonce's song and kind of gave his new end credit song for the live action looking Lion King.
So live action
No
Lion King
love.
was 2019.
29, yeah. I mean,
And
time is relevant to me for the past year and a half ish. So
I'm thinking because 2018 was Sherlock Gnomes. 2011, this movie's 10 years old, Gnomeo and Juliet. That's a long time for a grudge for Oscar nominated songs.
yeah, and from what I know with Lion King 2019 is Elton John was not really involved with the interpretations of the songs
Okay.
in the film. He basically wrote, a new end credit song and produced it himself. But who is it? I think it was Donald Glover said that he didn't meet him until the premiere. Like that was his first time talking to Elton John, even though, he sings "Can You Feel the Love Tonight?"
Yeah.
So I think he kind of was like, I don't want any part of this, but I will write you a new song I will write and perform a new end credit song. I will gift that to you. And then Disney didn't put it forward for Oscar nomination, even though it was the better of the two new songs.
Because it was the Beyonce song, right?
They put forward the Beyonce song, which is not a bad song.
I can't remember what it's called right now.
It's called Spirit.
Spirit, okay. Because for some reason I was thinking of a horse. And so that's why I was like Spirit, but that can't be right. Maybe I'm just thinking of a horse movie.
No, you're thinking of the Stallion of the Cimarron. And then his new song was Never Too Late.
Okay.
Which is the catchier of the two.
But back to not Sherlock Gnomes. Gnomeo and Juliet. Sherlock Gnomes is the sequel. I'm already confused.
From the expanded Sherlock Gnomes universe comes Gnomeo and Juliet.
The SGU, the Sherlock Gnomes universe. So as I showed the Elton John gnome, I went into this movie blind, no idea. My only idea was that this is a lawn gnome interpretation of the source material, William Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. So I kind of had an idea of where the story was going to go, and it didn't go there. So there's a scene, spoiler alert if you haven't seen it, but in 10 years, if you haven't seen Romeo and Juliet, you really don't want to.
Statute of Limitations was out in 2012.
Yep. There's a scene where Gnomeo is on top of a William Shakespeare statue, voiced by Patrick Stewart, and he's explaining the story of Romeo and Juliet, which is a weird... It made me uncomfortable in terms of its meta-ness, because you're literally telling the story, like an adaptation of the story, but now you're referencing the original, and you straight up said at that exact scene, we're not going to be a tragedy. This is going to have a different ending. And then I got disappointed. I wanted to see how they were going to interpret the ending of Romeo and Juliet.
You wanted some serious grief.
I wanted that tragedy. I wanted the lawn gnome gravitas. That's what I wanted. And I didn't get it. Instead, I got a giant tractor bulldozing both lawns or yards.
Yeah.
So, do you like Romeo and Juliet?
So I would say Romeo and Juliet was probably my introduction to Shakespeare in school, and kind of like 3 years in a row, I ended up reading the play 4 times in school because I switched grades, and then I switched classes, I switched schools, and the English class that I ended up in, they were doing Romeo and Juliet too, but they hadn't gotten to it yet. So I got to sit through it twice in that same year. We had to watch like the 1960s or maybe 50s, like filmed version. We watched West Side Story a bunch of times. So I just had this like 3-year period where I hated Shakespeare because Romeo and Juliet was all I knew. I ended up, learning to love pretty much all of his other plays. But this one I've never really dug. And but I will say I don't hate West Side Story, and I don't hate Gnomeo and Juliet. It's not the best interpretation of Shakespeare's Romeo and Juliet. But I would say this is
it's like also not the worst either.
It's not the worst. And I would say this is like a fun introduction for kids into that world. I do like
I'll agree with that.
I like the tongue-in-cheek moment with the Patrick Stewart statue. Even the beginning, you know, you've got the little gnome in front of the curtain, and they're trying to hook him off, but he's got his like prologue he's supposed to read to the audience. And I mean, they have like, you know, the one, it's a duplex, so the one is 2B, and then the other one is also 2B, but they've crossed it out. You know,
I didn't notice that till later on, but yes, I did enjoy that.
Yeah, and they transformed the Montagues and the Capulets into the Reds and the Blues. I mean, they have the signs out front, but for dumbing it down purposes, it just becomes the red and the blue side.
It looks like the French flag on my wall, but there is a red light and a blue light.
I just realized that's what you were doing. I thought you were like, I thought you were feeling the force and you were having the dark side and the light.
No, I don't bring any of that nonsense into my house.
Okay.
Instead, I do a weird, subtle thing that makes it look like I have the French flag on my wall.
Dun, 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 dun.
No, Romeo and Juliet, absolutely not my favorite Shakespeare either. Shakespeare piece. But what I did like about this movie is all the nods to other Shakespeare movies. Like there was one part where they grab a glue bottle and the label is The Taming of the Glue.
Mm-hmm.
I like that. The moving company was the Rosencrantz and Guildenstern moving company. I thought that was fun. But just like all like little stuff like that retained my attention in a story that otherwise was kind of like, okay, let's keep going.
Mm-hmm.
I would say like the first half, I was just kind of like, where are we going with this? Like, how is this, aside from the obvious Gnomeo Juliet love story, but like now they're racing lawnmowers. Mm-hmm. They're ordering new lawnmowers online. It's got like the Toy Story aspect to it, but they're literally blowing up houses and yards. How are you not aware of this happening?
So, well, my favorite cameo is that Dolly Parton is the like girl, the flag girl for the lawnmower race.
Dolly Gnome, I think was her name.
Dolly Gnome. They probably could have found something a little more fun than that name. But
who knows what this weekend might hold, Nick? You never know. But
there. I will also say I'm a big fan of. I'm a big musical fan, so I do like that kind of aspect to it. That they have not necessarily characters bursting into song, but they have like narrative songs throughout. And I do think it's kind of funny that Ewan McGregor is in Moulin Rouge, where one of the big love songs that they pulled from pop culture is Your Song by Elton John, which then becomes the love song for Gnomeo and Juliet, Gnomeo voiced by Ewan McGregor. So
Gnomeo is James McAvoy.
Oh, he's James McAvoy. I thought it was Ewan McGregor.
No, I thought that at first too when I went to look for my own nerd reasons, and I said James McAvoy. I'm like, oh, there it is.
Well, never mind. My apologies to James McAvoy.
Emily Blunt is Juliet.
Mary Poppins herself.
And then the one that kind of smacked me in the face was where I have him here as Tybalt, Jason Statham. So that was like, all right. Never knew he did an animated movie. A man known for like physical stunts and like fighting and everything like that. Animated movie, Jason Statham. Although, spoiler, again, if you read Shakespeare or know Shakespeare at all, you kind of knew something was going to happen to this guy anyway. He gets exploded. So
yeah. There is one casualty. Thankfully, they do have super glue for the epilogue.
Yeah. You could have left it.
Yeah. I mean, it's the melted combat Carl coming back out of the sandbox.
Yes. That's when they broke the rules, but no, we got the Hulk Hogan lawnmower, and that's the fact that the commercial's voiced by Hulk Hogan on the little website when he's going to. I don't know. That was actually in terms of yes. Well, I forgot what it was called. Kitten cutter, and then he's just in the window. Oh, not the kitten cutter. There were like little things like that made me chuckle, but then there were other ones where it was just, forgive me, like dumb kid humor, where it was the little not Fantasia mushroom character that's a dog comes up to the frog assistant to Juliet or whatever her name was, and goes, "Hey, you look like a fun guy."
Yeah,
and I was like, okay.
Or the like the bit with the fish. There's the gnome who's like got his fish on a string. And then the fish gets free but can't swim away, and then like finally the fish comes back. Like some of those things were really aimed at youngest members of the audience.
Which to me was kind of like the whole movie. There was some parts of it, but Maggie Smith right there is the mom.
Dame.
Dame. Yeah, sorry, my apologies. Dame Maggie Smith. Nick says he's going to host trivia himself. I said I'd do it. I just didn't say when, because if I say when on a live stream, that's when you know who can stop me. Anyway, moving on. I was going to say something. Oh, the flamingo character.
Voiced by
Jim Cummings.
Yes.
Who I was like, is Jim Cummings doing his best audition tape for The Birdcage? Like that.
Yeah.
That was how I felt about that.
He is very much Hank Azaria's character in The Birdcage as a voice. I also, the first time I saw this, I didn't know about the deleted flamingos from Fox and the Hound, but now that was like all I could think about. Okay. And so I was just watching him thinking like, is this what Fox and the Hound would have been like if they had kept the flamingos in?
I didn't think of that. I actually had forgotten all about that little piece of trivia until you just brought that up again.
I really want to know what that would have been like. Charo and Phil Harris as flamingos in the context of the Fox and the Hound, singing a song just in the woods of wherever Fox and the Hound takes place, which is obviously like rural America.
Nick actually has a question. The Gnomeo and Juliet budget was greater or lesser than 40 million?
I want to say it was less than. If memory serves correctly, it was like in the 30s, which was pretty low. And then that's why like it grossing 100 million domestic was deemed a big success.
Yeah.
Because like obviously compared to a Disney animated film, that's nothing. But especially when you look at what Strange Magic brought in, Gnomeo Juliet was a success.
I can't. Which one's Strange Magic? Why can't I remember that?
Strange Magic is the Lucasfilm project that was in development like when Disney acquired it. So they let them finish it and they put it out. I think it's technically the last Touchstone branded film, and it has come and gone on Disney Plus for like other streamer reasons. But it's a jukebox musical that is Midsummer Night's Dream.
Okay.
And it's fairies, and but they pull in obviously the song Strange Magic, all kinds of like songs spanning from like the 60s through the 80s, I think is kind of where they drew the line on their jukebox. That's an interesting one.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to look into that one. That one's
I might be looking at Gnomeo and Juliet through candy colored glasses because of Strange Magic.
Okay. I watched it through my animation nerd glasses and had to nitpick some things, and it wouldn't be a Laughing Place Movie Club with me on it if I don't talk about that. As we kind of talked about, it was a different studio who, from what I could say, and all due respect to the artists involved, I feel like there was a reason they didn't do humans in the movie. Like you saw them very briefly, and either in silhouette form, silhouette form or far away. There's one scene when Gnomeo gets lost in traffic and gets picked up by a dog, and the dog is running. And for 2011, it, in my opinion, looked worse than Scud in 1995's Toy Story. So, just the way it was running was very like herky jerky. But that being said, the facial animation in the gnomes, I thought was really good.
Yeah, and I like the hand-painted aesthetic too.
Yeah, like the textures of it and all that.
Yeah, even the pupils of their eyes, like you can tell, like it looks like they were hand-painted and then they came to life. So I think for this kind of, to Toy Story's credit, they made a film with what they could do with the limitations of the medium, and the things that really don't hold up are the humans and Scud.
Yep. But what I was getting at with my point with that was it's at this point was 2011, and that was almost at that point 20 years earlier, and so many more advancements had been made. And how did you make it somehow look worse? Mm-hmm. But yeah, you could look at the hand paintedness, and it all stayed. Whoever modeled that, fantastic. It looks fantastic. But like if you look at Gnomeo's arms here, you can't see my cursor, but like you could see like the little carved wedge lines. I think that's a nice touch. But yeah, that part impressed me for what it was. And then a lot of the dust, because you do see parts where the lawn gnomes burst, or although one major part of it comes up after it happens off screen, but you see like the rubble kind of coming. But the one that like the whole scene that really kind of astounded me for the whole movie was when the Terra Firminator lawnmower tractor thing decides to destroy both yards. So
yep, it overrides its directives and goes haywire. So I did, because we got a note that the person who asked us about the budget wasn't actually going to reveal the answer. So I looked it up. 36 million. 36 million was the total budget for Gnomeo and Juliet.
Okay.
And one thing that I wanted to talk about a little bit is the music, because I don't know if since you didn't really remember this film existing, are aware that this is an Oscar-nominated film.
No.
Yes. So the song "Hello, Hello" by Elton John and Lady Gaga was nominated for Best Original Song at the 2012 Oscars, and was performed live, and
apparently also nominated for a Golden Globe.
Also for Golden Globe. Controversially, they did not put the duet version on the soundtrack. With the soundtrack, by the way, released on Walt Disney Records. Lady Gaga, I think, signed through Warner Brothers, so it was probably a case where they had to pay Warner Brothers for Lady Gaga to be on the soundtrack, and Disney said no. So "Hello, Hello" on the soundtrack is an Elton John solo version that is more up-tempo for some weird reason. So it kind of plays like at the frantic pace of Crocodile Rock.
Because it went from Crocodile Rock and that weird, I don't even know what you would call that, like almost like a theatrical bow, like the good night, whatever.
Yeah.
It goes from Crocodile Rock into that song on the credits. I always watch the credits. I'll leave them on anyway. And I even heard Lady Gaga and thought, oh, this is Lady Gaga. But I never thought that was an original song that was Oscar nominated.
Another fun thing is I think this is the project that like got them together for the first time, and they have become really good friends. I'm pretty sure Lady Gaga is godmother to his sons because of Gnomeo and Juliet.
Yep. Yeah, I knew, because I remember, I can't remember what I was watching, but it was an interview, and Elton John, he just starts talking about Gaga. Doesn't call her Lady Gaga or anything. Goes, "Oh, Gaga, yeah." And then she was with her godchildren, and
you know,
I couldn't remember what it was, but he didn't say that either.
Right.
But yeah, I know they're super close, and if that's hilarious. If Gnomeo and Juliet is what gave us Elton John and Lady Gaga working together,
I want to say that yes, this is how they got together, and then they've been close ever since. But we'd have Gnomeo and Juliet to thank.
Yep. Thanks, Gnomeo and Juliet.
But because they never released the Lady Gaga version, and then the end credit version is slightly different than the version that plays underneath the budding romance in the film. So the end credit version has obviously been ripped and distributed through, every music streaming service that exists, not through the proper channels.
Yes.
And, one of the people's big things that they want, because it's Lady Gaga and Elton John, is the movie version. So I'm guessing it'll happen someday in a posthumous box set definitive edition, but we'll have to wait.
You'll see it alongside the Princess Di specials, special editions, and all of those.
Version of Candle in the Wind.
Yeah, and you'll get all of that, and then the Gnomeo and Juliet soundtrack of all the greatest hits of Elton John.
Now, I have a question for you. Since you didn't know this was like an Elton John jukebox musical,
I went in blind.
At what point during it did you catch it? Because they started introducing characters named like Benny. As it comes out,
I didn't put that together. I didn't put the Benny part together till just now. So thank you for that. Okay, part.
Yeah,
I literally That's so funny because I'm sitting there thinking like
part of Benny and the Jets.
I go back to this. I didn't process that either. That's so funny. I'll tell you this backstory real fast. It was 2010, and I was in a pool at a house I lived in at the time with some friends, and I said something at the same time as him, and I said, "Oh my gosh, we're like Phil and Lil." Oh wait, and then there's no, was Dill wasn't one of them? Because referring to Rugrats. And I said, no, Dill was Dill Pickles. Oh my God. And like it processed 2 decades later, Dill Pickles is a joke.
Dill, Lil, Dill.
Like, yeah, they all rhyme, but Dill Pickles, and then Stu Pickles, the grandpa or the dad or whatever. And I was just like, oh, they're all pickle jokes. So over 20 years passed. I don't pick up on stuff like that always right away. Moving on. No, the whole time I was trying to figure out who Benny was relative to the source material. Because Tybalt was actually there. Yep, I know that now. And he loses his hat at some point. But no, it was Elton John had the cameo, but I go back to, we kind of talked about this before we went live. I always watch the trailers when I go see whatever animation is in there. There's always 8 or 9, or used to be, not so much anymore, 9 animated trailers ahead of time. And you could always tell, in my opinion, how good or bad a movie is going to be by its cast. And I remember the lengthy list for Gnomeo and Juliet, and I don't remember who was on it at the time, but watching the movie, I was just like, okay, boom, boom, boom. Here's this person, here's this person, here's this person. And then so Elton John popped up, like, okay, that's just another thing. But I would say it was probably about halfway through in the score, it's interlaced with all Elton John songs. And I was just like, wait, that's Goodbye Yellow Brick Road. That's whatever X song, that's whatever Y song. And then I realized, how come there's so many Elton John songs in this? And then, yeah, it wasn't until the credits started rolling again that I'm like, oh, he was a producer. Got it. That all makes sense now. And then I learned
he started his own film company for it.
Rocket Pictures. Yes. Again, things I learned after. But I went into this. This is one of the few movies I've gone in completely blind, aside from a trailer I saw in a theater a decade ago at this point. So, and I knew Gnomeo and Juliet, or not Gnomeo and Juliet, Sherlock Gnomes was the sequel. That's all I got. So
yeah, we went from William Shakespeare to Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. What classic literary works would they have done if that had been a hit?
Well, if you look at them too, it's 2011 was the first one. 2018 was Sherlock Gnomes. We're due for another at some point. It's like when you hear geologists talking about the San Andreas Fault, it's just building. Let's see what's coming next.
The gnomes are coming back.
Yeah. Like, let's see. I
take on Jules Verne or Edgar Rice Burroughs.
Journey to the center of the gnome. I don't know. From the gnome to the moon.
Yes.
But once again, this is a big theme in my life. Sports prevail over animation facts. So thanks, Nick. Hopefully they're winning. I don't know who you root for. But like I said earlier too, I had very low bar for this movie. Even if you watch Theme Park Talks live, I say I've watched later on. We have LP Movie Club, Gnomeo and Juliet, and Mike starts chuckling a little bit, and I'm like, "Yep." I had a feeling it was just going to be a walking disaster. It wasn't as bad as I thought it was going to be, but it still is nothing I'd go out of my way to watch again. How do you feel overall, Alex?
Yeah, I would agree with that. I mean, again, I saw it in theaters and I hadn't seen it again until now. So I didn't seek it out at any point in between, but I did remember Hello, Hello, mostly because of, the Oscar performance from it. And that song had stayed with me. I like that song a lot. And I feel like that's one of the strongest moments in the film.
At the credits.
Well, it's in film twice.
Oh yeah, that's yes. Sorry,
yeah.
My apologies.
And then
I'm thinking of the Gaga version still.
Yeah. Because it is a duet for the end credits as well. It's like a soundtrack only version that's solo by Elton John. That's more up tempo on the Walt Disney Records release. But I'm sure there's drama there, and at some point some rights will expire, and Chris Montan won't have purview over the Gnomeo and Juliet music anymore, and Elton will release it by himself, or his estate will do it for him.
Do you think there'll be a Disney Legacy album for Gnomeo and Juliet with a special pastel art?
That just hurt my heart, because they said they were going to keep those going, and they only did like 2 more, and they haven't done one now in I think 3 years. They did Beauty and the Beast, like I think 2018. And it drove me crazy, because what I really wanted out of that was to get soundtracks from the films we never got soundtracks for. We got Robin Hood, we got Aristocats. I was waiting for Rescuers, Fox and the Hound, some of those, Great Mouse Detective, Sword in the Stone. We've never gotten a full soundtrack for. So, I was waiting for the Legacy Collection CDs to give me what I didn't already have. And instead they regurgitated a lot of what I had, but with some additional score that hadn't been released before.
We're off on a tangent here, but the Disneyland one was the most disappointed one for me, because I was like,
especially if you own the 50th set.
Yep, I was just gonna say I have the 50th set, and I'm like, oh, this is 3 different tracks in the 50th set, and half of them.
Yes, so. and those 3 different tracks were on the most recent official album, and a lot of the stuff that was regurgitated from the 50th set was truncated so that they could fit it on 3 discs. That was such a disappointment. I was so mad. Chris Montan, what have you done?
I like the Lady and the Tramp one though, so I'll give you that one.
Yeah,
because I at least get the scores.
Oh, you know what? No, I was upset with the Lady and the Tramp one because disc 1 was the same disc that they've been releasing since the 90s.
Oh, really?
Pinocchio really made me mad because the same disc they've been distributing since the 90s has no lyrics on Little Wooden Head. It is a score-only version of Little Wooden Head with no Geppetto singing. And it's a song, and their lyric book, because the booklet always had the lyrics.
Yep.
The booklet had the lyrics for the song that's instrumental only on the soundtrack. And I was like, you guys, go back and redo it. You're selling it to me again.
Yep.
Sorry.
They might. Tangent. That's fine. We're
too late.
We got here because we were talking about Gnomeo Juliet Legacy release because of the soundtrack being owned by Walt Disney Records.
Yeah, doubtful. I think that line is dead. Lorelei Beauvais is probably unavailable to do that.
When did Touchstone stop?
So Touchstone really stopped, officially stopped making their own films around 2008, 2009. The end of the Dick Cook era was really the end of Touchstone. Rich Ross came in, and Touchstone then became distribution for DreamWorks live action. I don't know if you remember that, but DreamWorks live action had a distribution deal through Disney. So almost all of those became branded Touchstone.
I miss 80s Touchstone.
I miss 80s Touchstone. Even 90s Touchstone. There were some great Touchstone films.
Yeah.
And then it all kind of withered away. What was it called? You Again? With Betty White and The Proposal. Those were among the last Touchstone films that were actually made by Disney. I believe the very last Touchstone branded film was Strange Magic, because by then the DreamWorks distribution deal had moved on to I think Paramount has it now for the live action.
Okay.
Or maybe even Universal again. And then Strange Magic was just one where they had inherited it. They let them finish it, and they were like, we're not putting our name on this. Touchstone. Because it was before they could just let Lucasfilm exist as its own brand.
I asked because I was a little startled when I saw Touchstone on this movie.
Yeah.
I thought it had been a long time had passed, but if they're just distributing, I always say that weird funky, then that makes sense. But there was one part of it that channeled, one part of Gnomeo Juliet to me that channeled another Touchstone movie. And I said, if you just had this scene with animal crackers, you got Armageddon. Show that again. Just there we go. But that's not an Elton John song, so sorry.
No. But I'm sure Michael Bay is very excited that you said that.
Yes, I just compared his sentimental romantic scene in Armageddon to Gnomeo and Juliet. Yes. Kidder wants to point out the final Touchstone film was The Light Between Oceans.
Oh my gosh, was that hard to sit through? I watched in a movie theater because they all came out around the same time, so I had press screenings back to back to back. Light Between Oceans, Queen of Katwe, Pete's Dragon, the remake.
Okay.
And Light Between Oceans, really, I think they had that first, and it was such a bad note to get started on. It was so hard to get through.
I've never heard of that, so I'm guessing that's how good it was. Yes.
If that comes to the Disney bundle, it won't be on Disney Plus for reasons, but if it comes to Hulu, Don't watch it. It's really sad and really hard to watch and really slow paced.
I will say this: we are talking about Gnomeo and Juliet tonight because it is on Disney Plus. I think it just came on to Disney Plus. Is that right?
Yeah, Friday was its big debut. They rolled out the AstroTurf carpet to welcome Gnomeo and Juliet onto Disney's streaming service.
So forget that Falcon and Winter Soldier. Forget those game-changing Mighty Ducks. Yes,
I loved that. By the way, that was so funny.
Come on down to Gnomeo and Juliet.
Yeah. You've already watched those things. You know it.
Yep.
You need something to watch this week before next Friday's dump of new content. You got the new Ewoks, the old Ewoks films coming on Friday. So, might as well watch Gnomeo and Juliet to tide you over.
I know we're talking about Gnomeo and Juliet, but did you watch Mighty Ducks Game Changers yet?
We watched it last night. I loved it so much.
Okay.
I am that podcasting kid, by the way. Like, he is me on the inside.
I still need to watch it. I'm excited to watch it, but there's one thing I need to wrap my head around, and that's apparently I have to root against the Ducks. I
think by the end of this season, that probably won't be the case.
I had a feeling, but yes.
You do find that under new management, the Mighty Ducks,
Iago and Zazu, which is a great segue to talk about the last topic I wanted to talk about, and Gnomeo and Juliet.
You gotta have synergy.
What was that? So in the movie Gnomeo and Juliet, there's a scene when Juliet's atop this little waterfall perch, and it kicks on. It's an animated showpiece, which I would like to have in my backyard one day. But I don't know that I would have it do the Enchanted Tiki Room song for a bunch of lawn gnomes. Yeah,
there's no birds. Apparently in England, they're like really big Enchanted Tiki Room fans.
Okay.
Because that's where this takes place.
I wish that would have been, again, culturally informed somewhere. Okay.
No, I don't know that.
Okay. I thought you were just saying that.
Okay. I presume that from this moment. I presume based on seeing this film, having never been to the United Kingdom, but wanting to go, that it's commonplace to turn old toilets into planters, and everyone loves the Enchanted Tiki Room.
I forgot about the toilet. I only watched it a few hours ago. That's funny.
But I want to say it's probably something that Disney was like, it's not that precious, so if it's in this film that ends up being bad because of all the struggle, like, whatever. And the rights were not an issue because
is it on the soundtrack?
Their pockets. It is not on the soundtrack,
okay.
But it is the theme park version. So if you have that 60th anniversary legacy release, you've got it.
Or the
better 50th anniversary 5-disc release that came with a reproduction LP of Walt Disney Takes You to Disneyland on a golden vinyl with a big book that explains everything to you.
Which I actually have in my possession again for the first time in 15 years. And I listened. I had a vinyl player now, so I put that record on, and I enjoyed it a lot. Yeah. But we're talking about Gnomeo and Juliet here, so
we keep getting off topic because we don't want to talk about it.
Yes, yeah, so what I was gonna say is I forgot about the toilet in the middle of the lawn already.
Yeah.
That was, where did they get that? Like, how do you explain?
Poignant.
Whatever.
It's poignant.
But you said it would be no rights. I think of like the Lion King, because they sing "It's a Small World" in the Lion King. Briefly, comedically, I just don't think Tiki Room was the one they should have picked if they wanted to use some kind of park synergy. I don't know what they should have picked, but it just stuck out awkwardly to me.
You know what would have been a better choice, since it was like more about water than anything, was like Under the Sea.
Okay.
Probably would have made more sense, because it was like, I don't know, it was like a little castle rose up, and then there was like water and lights. Yep. There were palm trees.
Yeah.
I don't know.
And then like little cardboard cutouts popped out behind it. And could have also done Small World again, but
could have done Small World again. Could have gone off brand and done If You Like Pina Coladas, getting caught in the rain. Like, that probably would have been funnier.
Yep. But yeah, it just goes in the tiki. I'm like, really?
Yeah. That
like,
was
it wasn't.
It played well if you saw it at AMC 24 and nowhere else.
Yeah, that's a perfect way of saying that. Like, yeah, if you saw that at he's saying AMC 24, referring to downtown or Disney Springs, excuse me, or even downtown Disney, I guess.
Formerly
yes.
downtown Disney at the time.
The Pleasure Island 12 at one point, then it expanded. But yes, in a Disney park theater, and then hooray! But if you're in the middle of Kenosha, Wisconsin, maybe.
Whoa, why'd you pull that one out?
I don't know. Why? Is that where you're from?
I'm from Racine, Wisconsin, which is borders. I lived on the border of Kenosha, and I went to college in Kenosha.
I don't know.
So
that's weird.
I thought you were just making it real personal, but
no.
Apparently that was random.
I immediately, so the way my brain worked was think of some obscure, like, unconnected town, and I thought of A League of Their Own and the teams from A League of Their Own, and I could have went with Racine.
Is the Racine Bells?
Is the Racine
on their field?
Okay, that's awesome.
They have a plaque for them.
Because I was like, I said Kenosha out loud, and then I was gonna say South Bend, but that's not Kenosha, South Bend. It's another city.
Are you from there? Why do you know so much about southeastern Wisconsin?
I'm not. No, I'm from California and Oregon.
Okay.
Yeah, because that's what made me think of South Bend in Oregon, but that's why I knew it wasn't Kenosha, Wisconsin. So I had to think Kenosha is Wisconsin. And then you stop me. Gnomeo Juliet learns you all about it.
It'd be like Oconomowoc or Oshkosh.
I've never really got that one. No, Oshkosh. I could have. I know somebody from Oshkosh actually from my college program. But
there you go.
Anyway, I just thought Wisconsin and League of Their Own and came up with Kenosha. That's so weird. I'm sorry, Alex. I didn't mean to.
That was bizarre.
Come at you with that.
Yeah, A League of Their Own is a very dear film to me because I felt like I lived somewhere important because of A League of Their Own.
Yes, Justin points out there is the last blockbuster in Bend, Oregon. The last one. There's a documentary
and
about
you
it
can
on
watch.
Netflix.
Yeah, we just watched it. It's a lot of James Arnold Taylor for some reason.
There's your Disney connection here on LP Movie Club. Obi-Wan in the Clone Wars?
Yes.
Yep.
Okay. And he talks about that a lot.
I'm sure.
Instead of talking about Blockbuster.
Well, I used to rent Star Wars tapes of Blockbuster, and it inspired me to be Obi-Wan.
That's about as relevant as his contributions are, but they still use like 20 minutes of his interview.
Sounds right. Well, we are way off of Romeo and Juliet now. We're talking about last blockbuster. So real quick, before we wrap this up, I want to ask, we said this is not the worst adaptation of Romeo and Juliet. What's the worst?
Well, for me, I mean, it's a straight adaptation from the 60s where everybody wore tights. I had to watch it in school, I think twice. And it's like Romeo's got his big bulge in his tights, and it's just really awkward and weird to watch. And being a freshman and coming into myself, I felt very uncomfortable. So that marred me. What about you?
I'm pretty sure it's 20th Century Fox, so we'll talk about it. Warm Bodies.
I haven't seen Warm Bodies. That sounds gross.
It's a zombie movie. It's a rom-com zombie movie.
Like Pride and Prejudice and zombies.
Sure. But like I said, it is a Romeo and Juliet adaptation. And like me, I told you I don't pick up necessarily on little stuff like that all the time right away. And the girl's name was Juliet, and that zombie didn't have a name, but he had like a jacket on and it said R, if I remember right. So they called him R. And he started to like emote and have feelings, and she fell in love with a zombie that she wasn't supposed to be with because her dad was a zombie hunter. And I saw it at $1.50 theater, and I still wanted a refund. I
forgot that existed, but yes, that is it. Romeo and Juliet with guns, the Leo version. And
I did too.
That was really bad. They shot Tybalt instead of stabbed him.
Or exploded him against the wall because he's made of ceramic.
Isn't that the one that introduced the song "Kiss Me"? Like, isn't that what it's from?
No, "Kiss Me" is from "She's All That."
Oh, okay.
Sixpence None the Richer, right?
Sixpence None the Richer. Yeah. There was another song. There was a song equated with that Romeo and Juliet that I remember. Like, it would play at school dances, and I would like go as far to the wall as I could
You
get.
are saying that, and I'm hearing it in my head.
I believe it was another Sixpence None the Richer song. I don't know why I think it's Kiss Me.
Hold on. Right now it's saying Crush by Garbage, but I feel like that's wrong.
I don't know. I just I know there was a song that I associate with that movie, and I hated that movie. And you are so right, Justin. That is worse than the 60s version where everyone wore tights and it was more of a straight adaptation.
I'm going to read the soundtrack track listing. Doesn't mean it was on it, but stop me if I catch it. Number 1, Crush by Garbage. Angel by Gavin Friday. Kissing You by Desiree. Even the screenshot for that is Leo looking through the fish tank. I remember that.
Yeah.
Love Fool by the Cardigans. That one I still hear today. Everybody's
Leo looked wet throughout the whole movie for some reason. Like he just looked like he was always wet.
That was the style for our hair back then. Everybody's Free, Quentin Tarver, talk show host, Radiohead, You and Me song by the Wannadies, Local God, Everclear, Pretty Piece of Flesh by One Inch Punch, Whatever by Butthole Surfers, sorry. Young Hearts Run Free, To You I Bestow by Mundy, and Little Star by Stina Nordenstam.
I don't know. Maybe I just associated with it with anything by Everclear, and they always did those slow dancey dance songs.
Yep.
So maybe that's what I'm thinking of. I just remember like receding to the wall in the gym and being like, "No one come near me. I'm not dancing to this." Like,
what year did you graduate middle school?
2000.
Okay, I was 98, so that was, yeah. That was the height of Titanic. So
yep. My Heart Will Go On.
I would say, Can You Feel the Love Tonight? My Heart Will Go On. Yes.
Yeah, that was still requested at school dances, I think, through my high school graduation in 2004. So I'm pretty sure they played that at my prom.
Yep. Yep. Anyway, thanks, Titanic. Other Leo DiCaprio movie. Gnomeo Juliet, not the worst Romeo and Juliet adaptation. On behalf of myself and Alex.
Also, Disney owns that Baz Luhrmann Fox movie now.
Oh, yeah, they do.
Yeah. That's ours.
John Leguizamo.
Yes.
Also in that movie.
Yeah.
I couldn't decide if we talked about the Flamingo briefly, but voiced by Jim Cummings, and I said Hank Azaria in The Birdcage, or John Leguizamo in Everything. Yeah. I was like trying to isolate it. I'm like, no, it's pretty much everything.
Yeah. Moulin Rouge, Spawn, like pick a John Leguizamo movie.
Justin J. Smith brings up another good point. Lion King 2 is Romeo and Juliet.
Oh.
I would also say that that's better than Gnomeo and Juliet.
Yeah, I don't hate Lion King 2. It's one of the better DTV sequels.
Yep. Not the best one. That's another Shakespearean adaptation-ish. Lion King 1.5. Oh,
okay. Yeah, Hamlet and Bambi. Retold through the viewpoint of a warthog, and
it could be considered an adaptation of a Tom Stoppard play called Rosencrantz and Guildenstern Are Dead. So
okay,
nerd alert. Sorry.
I will say I do love Lion King 1.5, and I would agree that is better than Lion King 2.
Yep.
And it has dated itself with all the references to it being on DVD.
That's true. Can we get Nathan Lane to redub? We'll check it out on the Blu-ray
streaming service.
Yep. Later on when it's on Disney Plus.
I think he still sounds like he's up here, not here.
Yes, or not even him, just Nathan like somebody Lane redubbing it. Ernie Sabella is probably bored. Get him. Yeah. Anyway, so tomorrow on laughingplace.com, we will be going live again for our usual Tuesday broadcasts, including Barely Necessities with Becca and Rebecca, the live Disney merchandise show. And then, Alex, you are covering Mysterious Seas tomorrow?
I am. I don't know if we'll have coverage of it up tomorrow, but we will have it probably up by Wednesday because those take a little while to write. But yeah, it's a National Geographic live virtual event. Anyone can do it. You can go to nationalgeographiclive.com, I think is their website. And that is one that is run through local theaters as a fundraiser. So you do have to pay for admission. It's usually about $10. and it supports whichever theater you choose to buy your ticket through. And they're always really cool virtual events, so we do recaps of them.
Okay, I'm sorry. I'm just laughing at this comment. I was told not to ask questions. Just received a message that I will be dismissed if I follow his advice regarding a sneak attack on hosting trivia. I wasn't gonna do it anyway, but anyway. Later on in the week, Alex will be at. No, I'm not gonna do it. Later on in the week, Alex will be at Six Flags Discovery Kingdom, broadcasting live, and I will be with him. And I'm not there physically, but on the back end. And
you will be omnipresent.
Yes, and I'm actually oddly excited for that because I have not been in any way, shape, or form to that park since 2005. So I'm very excited for that.
I never went pre-2020.
That's true. Yeah. So I'm gonna nerd out, and you're just gonna be like, "Well, this is what's here now."
I have read some wiki entries. That park has some interesting history. So
I should send you. There is from the 25th anniversary of that park. There's a special that somebody put part of it on YouTube where it shows how bonkers that park used to be in the greatest way. I have no disrespect or hard feelings for that park, but like the stuff they would do in a million years, a legal team would never allow them to do now. They would walk around like adolescent tigers in the park just so they have human interaction, and they're on a leash like a dog. No biggie. Anyway, remember, guys, like, subscribe, ring that bell, get notified whenever we go live for Six Flags Discovery Kingdom or further LP movie clubs coming up later in the week. And we also have Laughing Place TV Club, Marvel Time Lives happening tomorrow. Or not, is that tomorrow or the next day? I had it right in front of my face. That will be...
I didn't even realize it was Monday until...
Yeah, that'll be Wednesday. Sorry, my apologies. That'll be Wednesday for everybody. Marvel Time Live. I have 3 calendars and I still don't know what day it is. So long, everybody. Like, subscribe, ring the bell. Bye, guys.